We begin the bulletin from here in the headlines. And coming up in the bulletin, government rejects claims of reckless borrowing in barely 2 months in office. We have details on that shortly. Also coming up, water supply in Fantier Chrome in the western region under threat as illegal mining continues to wreak havoc. A while later, special prosecutor maintains his office as Ghana's best chance to deal with corruption. We have details of these and more stories coming your way in the next hour. Do stay with us. The bulletin is live on DSTV, channel 279. We are also streaming across the world on Facebook, where you can join us with your thoughts and comments. We begin the program from here. Government maintains it has so far managed the economy prudently and not engaged in reckless borrowing. This comes in the wake of allegations that some 59 billion cedis has been borrowed since January 7. Finance Minister Dr. Kasiel Atuforsen has been providing details on that matter, and we have some graphical representation that should be projected on your screen shortly on exactly what he has been saying. And just to delve much into the details, he has actually been making some projections where he mentioned that total T-bill bids received by the Mahama government since January 10, 2025 stand at 89.7 billion Ghana cedis. On this amount, total T-bill bids accepted being rollovers of debt inherited by the Mahama government stand at 59.5 billion Ghana cedis, while total T-bill bids rejected by government stands at 30.2 billion Ghana cedis. He goes further to say that for the avoidance of doubt, not net borrowing by the Mahama government as of today stands at 7.1 billion Ghana cedis, and this is primarily a buffer for servicing maturing debt accumulated by the NPP Akufo-Addo Bawumia government. Lastly, it is instructive to note that actual debt accumulation under the Mahama government is virtually zero. The prudent public debt management measures adopted by the Mahama government have led to a record high drop in the 91-day T-bill rate from 28.34% to 20.79% in just 50 days, an emphatic vote of confidence in the Ghanaian economy by the investor community, and exactly what Dr. Kasiel Atuforsen, Finance Minister, has been saying. We stay on the issues relating to the economy, and as you may recall, President John Dramani Mahama, during the State of the Nation address, described Ghana's economy as one in crisis. Development economist Dr. George Domfa, however, maintains the economy handed over the previous government is one on the path of growth. Take a look.
You know, sometimes when we hear one thing, we try to, make it appear as if it is happening to everything. The most important economic indicator that we use to measure whether or not an economy is doing well is growth. And Nana Akufo-Addo picked the economy growing at 3.4% from John Dramani Mahama. Today, as we speak, economy is growing at 6.3%. I'm sure we all know
you're
about
talking
that.
about
Let me go to 2019.
GDP.
No, let me go to 2019. 2019, the economy grew at 6.5%. The real sector performance was one of the best. Agricultural sector grew this so well, manufacturing. Those traditional sectors that protect the poor, they all did very well. If you pick the budget and read it. But there was a problem. The problem with 2019 was the debt. Indeed, when Nana Akufo-Addo was given the mantle of leadership, our debt to GDP ratio was 73.1%. If you use the 2016 constant prices, 2006 constant prices, President Akufo inherited it at 182% debt to GDP ratio, and left it 32% for President Mills. But at the 32, it increased to 73.1% at the time Nana Akufo-Addo came to power. 2019, for the first time, so Ghanaian economy have been in debt crisis for 3 continuous years. That was 2014, 2015, 2016. And that was significant 2015 to recover from IMF. So it wasn't as if something beautifully, something very beautiful happened in the now.
No, so are you saying that they
Financial analyst Joe Jackson, however, disagrees.
But the economy hasn't changed. Cocoa has been the bedrock of this economy. We've watched cocoa sector practically destroyed. We're doing less than 30% of what we were doing in 2016. We were not even able to fulfill the deliveries for last year's cocoa loan. Yeah. So that this year, we've already mortgaged this year's cocoa. When you say you're going to hold the value of the cedi, the biggest, the biggest fear I have, that what holds the value of the cedi is cocoa. And what has been done to the cocoa sector is almost criminal. And such that any attempt to hold the value of the cedi this year is going to be severely hamstrung by what has happened what is happening in the cocoa sector. Listen, nobody should talk about what the economy is in dire straits.
Let's do more stories. Northeast Regional Minister Ibrahim Tia has directed the Regional Security Council to ensure that security is maintained in conflict-prone areas in the region. This follows a recent attack on the Nani community in the Bunkrugu, Nakpanduri district of the region over a chieftaincy dispute. 3 persons died with over 50 houses burnt to ashes in the early hours of Friday, February 28, 2025. Even though relative claims have been restored, and the Nani community residents who fled are yet to return. Let's touch base with our colleague, Christopher Mwako, who has been following this story for details. Chris, many thanks for your time. Is there a possibility you can paint a picture on exactly what caused the conflict?
Yes, so Godwin, this particular conflict is a renewed one because it has existed over the period. Somewhere 2023, the Mamprugu traditional area elevated a chief in the Nanik community to a paramountcy status. And so once that is done, it means that Bumbagu and other communities who have chiefs will have to fall under the chief of the Nanik community. So the people of Bumbagu petitioned the Regional House of Chiefs as well as the National House of Chiefs in this regard. Unfortunately, the Mamprugu Traditional Council insisted that the chief of Nanik is the paramount chief of the area. And so the people of Bumbagu in a press conference last year indicated that they were not going to agree to this. So on the in September last year, the first attack happened on the Nanik community where 1 person reportedly died out of the attack and 3 others sustaining various degrees of gunshot wounds. Now, early this year, a similar attack happened on the Nanik community. This time, that was on Friday, another attack has happened and 3 persons unfortunately died out of the attack. And several houses in the community have been touched so far. Residents have fled the community.
But how is the community looking like today? Have you been able to spot a few of the residents around, and are they still in fear?
Yeah, so the community has become a ghost town because majority of the people or residents in that community have fled the community. Yesterday, we are told that most of them even slept at their farms because they are afraid to come to the community over a possible attack again on the community, because the attack that happened yesterday, the people were taken by surprise. And so the Nanik community has been deserted by most of the residents there. Only a few are seen in the community, even though the Northeast Regional Security Council, as well as the DISEC, the District Security Committee of the Bunkurgu Nakpanduri District, have given indications that some relative calm has been restored, and so the people should get back to the community. But that is yet to see the light of day.
Right. From the pictures, I can clearly see some houses with ashes splattered all over due to the incident. But tell us about the security situation.
Yeah, so yesterday when the incident happened, the Northeast Regional Minister currently, as we speak, is in Accra for some official duties. But he immediately directed the Regional Security Council as well as the DISEC in the Bunkurgu Nakpanduri area to beef up security in the Bumbagu and Nanik areas. In fact, that is not the only places that he has directed that security be maintained, because you remember that over the past few months, some communities in the Northeast region have been engaged in some land and chieftaincy disputes. And so he has directed that any community that has similar concerns, security should be beefed up there so that they will be able to deal with the immediate security threats before they begin the engagement and negotiations with these chiefs to ensure that they get a lasting solution to this matter.
Right. Christopher, just hold it there for us. Let's engage the Northeast Regional Minister, Ibrahim Tia, on this rather sad development coming from the northeast part of the country. Minister, thank you for your time. A worrying situation, I should say. But beyond your directive for security beef up, what else is the Regional Security Council doing about this recurring conflict?
Thank you. And then I think that RICSEC and then DISEC are looking at the situation on the ground. And then we'll be deploying additional security on the ground to see how we can minimize these attacks in that community. However, we'll be engaging some other stakeholders in this issue. Once it's a chieftaincy issue, we'll get the overlord and the Regional House of Chiefs to sit together and look at it so that at least we'll bring it to a stop. I think when we get the opinion leaders and then the Regional House of Chiefs talking, if they are engaged, I think that with the advice of Peace Council and the advice from RICSEC, I'm sure we will make progress in bringing down these attacks within the eastern corridor of my region.
Right. What's the history behind this dispute?
Come again.
What's the history behind this dispute?
I think it's purely a chieftaincy issue. And then I think the right institutions will take it up and then all mediate and see how we can get it resolved. It's a decade issue.
We are aware some of the residents have fled. They've taken to their hills. Are you making some arrangements to ensure that they will be back to the community, since you have explained that there's still heavy security presence around the premises?
Yes, I think RICSEC in conjunction with DISEC is working to see how we can get the situation there normalized so that the residents will come back. Whilst we also look at the attackers. We'll also find ways of trying to see how we can get those who really attacked.
Right, so it means calm is soon going to be restored. Are you assuring the residents?
Calm has been restored because the security is there, and we are trying to arrange and see how we can get them permanently there for some few days so that when there's relative calm, then maybe we will assure all the residents who have run away so that they can come back and then rehabilitate their houses.
Right. Thank you so much for your time. Ibrahim Tia is the Northeast Regional Minister. But my colleague, Christopher Mwako, is still on standby to speak on this story, where stakeholders in the education sector in the Northern region are, among other reforms in the free senior high school program, calling for a cut-off point of grades as an entry requirement from the junior high school to senior high school. They expressed these concerns at the regional consultative forum on education reforms in Tamale. Let's go back to Christopher and engage him. But before we do that, let's take a look at this.
We have, over the years, thought that, yes, it is a very good policy, but hardly implemented and has come with, it's fraught with a whole lot of problems. It's a free SHS. We suggested that there must be a cutoff point. People have passed from JSS. And yes, the education could still be free, but people must qualify into the freeness. You are not pushed into it. If I have aggregate, somebody who got aggregate 50, 40, 49, necessarily does not want to go to school, you are not reading. So if you open the gates for him to go to school, you go to school in the foolhardiness you find. You see armed robbers, you see thieves, you see rogues, you see smokers, drug addicts, because they didn't qualify and you ask them to go. If there's a cutoff point, he struggles to get into the cutoff points. I hope you get me. But if there's no cutoff point, the relaxation among students is that whether I write or I don't write, whether I attend school or I don't attend school, if I finish JSS, I am going into secondary school. Should that be the order of the day? How can we have quality? And that you are bringing in chaff. And when you bring in chaff, you pump up chaff. That's why you now see people, they have finished secondary school, they even have aggregates, go to college, go to this, because he knows that he didn't qualify for it. So these are issues that we should be looking at critically.
I don't believe it's going to be as usual. You know, in Ghana, we are very good at policy pronouncements, but when it comes to policy implementation, we are found wanting. I don't think this time is going to be the same thing. We are good in policy making and bad in policy implementation. If we are able to implement the idea that will come out of this education fora, I believe that Ghana will be making a headway in terms of education. We will be a part with global educational expectations.
We head back to my colleague, Christopher Mwako, for details on that. Chris, thank you so much for staying. What more have the stakeholders been saying?
Has to do with the fact that indiscipline has taken over the senior high schools. We have reported cases in the Salaga area, where the Salaga Senior High School, some students were even arrested wielding guns. We also have just recently in the Volta region, something of that sort has happened. In the Greater Accra region, a student who was stabbed to death. And so they are looking at, if we take a look at the cutoff point, we also look at from the junior high school level, indisciplined students should be given some sanctions such that those who cannot comply, they will definitely drop out. And so it will save the future leaders or the future generation some discipline, so that we do not groom indisciplined students into our senior high school and our tertiary education. Another concern they have been raising has to do with the fact that the feeding, where food is, contracts are given to people to procure food for these senior high schools. They are thinking that the schools should be given the opportunity to do that themselves. One final thing has to do with the increase in infrastructure. They are saying that because of the numbers, you go to schools, some of them do not even have desks to sit on. And so if there is a cutoff point, it means that the numbers will be reduced, the infrastructure will be improved for them to bring out quality students. And so that is exactly what the stakeholders in Tamale or Northern region have been saying about education reforms, especially at the senior high school level.
Talking about discipline, how is that in the northern part of the country?
Yes, I must say that you heard from the first speaker, who is himself a retired headmaster. He's been headmaster of Kalpohin Senior High School, headmaster of Northern School of Business, headmaster of Tamale Senior High School. He has seen it all, that there is so much indiscipline in the schools. Like I said, recently you had the Salaga Senior High School incident. We also had that of other schools in the northern region. And so recently, 2 days ago in Boko, and so they are saying that, look, indiscipline has become a major concern in senior high schools because most of the students, they have attributed it to drug abuse at the senior high school level. And so they are looking at how the school authorities can deal with some of these issues. To see a student in school wielding a gun and also threatening to shoot a teacher with the gun or the colleague with the gun is a high level of indiscipline. And so they want them to take a critical look at it.
Absolutely. The indiscipline in senior high schools should indeed be checked. Christopher Mako, as a Northern Regional Correspondent, thank you so much for your details. But away from education up north, residents of Fantikrom, a village in the Nzima East municipality, are grappling with a severe water crisis as illegal mining activities continue to wreak havoc. The community's only water source, a once reliable stream, has been heavily polluted, leaving residents oftentimes go without safe drinking water for days.
Fantikrom, a farming community with an estimated population of over 10,000, is reeling under the devastating impact of galamsey. A visit to the community reveals vast stretches of degraded land, with once fertile farmland now scarred by mining pits. The destruction has not spared the community's only stream, which for years served as a dependable source of clean drinking water. Now, residents are forced to rely on an electric-powered borehole, an option they say is both unreliable and inadequate. With an ever-increasing population, the borehole storage capacity is limited, making it difficult for many people to receive water. Further worsening their plight is frequent power outages, sometimes lasting for days, which cripples water supply as the borehole depend entirely on electricity. Frustrated residents say they are left with no choice than to journey to nearby communities to purchase sachets of water for domestic use.
To water, because you see that surrounded, there's been all galamsey issues. So initially we were having a stream over here, but if I take you to that place now, you'll be sorry for us because all the water's bodies have been destroyed by the galamsey people.
Joseph Amuzu, a Slimy member for the community, voices pain as he recounted effort undertaken to ensure responsible mining has hit the rock. Hence, the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources being urged to deploy security personnel immediately to halt the ongoing activities.
Megid said a bobo apa because the dear can say in the economy. Young Colonel Musco here. I know what you was I catch and I'm say, Assassin, you modia, who moved me to Galamsey, but when you reclaim to me, Abwa, Yakabia, movie to Medina, Umudu Musicanapa, no reclaiming Umadiato. Young Colonel Susha, Umuko school, Umujas are pit now, and I say, I could have been a monas or Kokutuma. Now, Yakoya and
For residents of Fantikrom, they are calling on the new Lands and Natural Minister to send in military troops to halt the activities of illegal mining in Fantikrom. For TV3 News, I am Stephen Kujo.
The minority in Parliament has opted out of the 3-day orientation training program for members of the 9th Parliament currently ongoing at the Volta Serene Hotel in Ho in the Volta region. Speaker of Parliament Alban Sumana Godwin, while addressing the House, revealed that the minority side notified him of their decision on Friday night not to be part of the training program. Faisal Abdul Idrisu is a reporter covering the program in Ho and is joining us with details on this. Faisal, thank you so much for your time. Can you first and foremost confirm to our viewers the absence of the minority MPs from this very important training happening?
The minority MPs are not attending today's training session for the members of the 9th Parliament here at the Volta Serene Hotel. When you get into the conference room where the program is currently underway. There are chairs, the majority side of the House in there. Almost half of the seats in the room there are empty because the minority side from Parliament is not there, except the second Deputy Speaker, Honorable Siama, the MP for Mena, who is also a member of the MPP, who is in attendance. But the other members, led by the minority leader, Honorable Afeni Martin, are not here for the orientation program for the 9th Parliament. Godwin, can you hear me?
Let's now take a listen to what the Speaker of Parliament has been saying.
Our brothers and sisters of the New Patriotic Party have opted out, giving a reason that is completely unacceptable. There's good reason why we choose venues for this. It's not partisan. There's always a search party, and they go around, discuss with the various hospitalities, look at the cost components, the facilities, their suitability, the convenience of your movement, because there are other pressures on you, and there are score marks before we decide where to go. There's no partisanship in this at all. This time around, the parliamentary service followed the same. That is what is done. And the final results are brought to the Speaker. And until I have a very good reason why it shouldn't be at that place, I just give my approval. And to have 276 members of Parliament and staff, because the staff work with you. And if you don't build the capacity of the staff, the institution, they will not be in the position to serve you, to provide what you need to be able to satisfy the immeasurable, unlimited demands of the country, of your people, and of the world. So it's usually a large number of people. The reason is that the cost component is too much, and they don't want to be part of that.
Faisal, I'm sure you have been teasing out some information from the MPs. What exactly is the purpose of this orientation, and how is their posturing regarding the absence of the minority?
Side appears a bit disappointed in the decision by their colleagues not to be part of this very important orientation program. The orientation program is intended to actually give the members an insight into what their role is on several important topics, including the issue of advocacy, the issue of conflict management in the House, and their duties as members of Parliament. Even though some of the members in the 9th Parliament have been in Parliament, in the 8th Parliament, in the 7th Parliament, it is essential that they undergo this training to refresh their minds, and more importantly, for the new members. And you would agree with me that there is also a large number of members of Parliament today who are part of the minority side. So their absence largely means that they are going to miss out on the very important topics and the discussions that are going to happen here for the 3 days. There are key aspects that are here today that will be taking the members through these issues that I've spoken about earlier, the issue of advocacy, the issue of the lobbying skill, the issue of their role as members of Parliament, and how best they could contribute to national development and our democracy. And so they missing out. The Speaker actually described this as an unacceptable decision by the minority. But of course, there appears to be an issue of a disappointment for the other side, who also believe that their involvement in this training would have been of an immeasurable benefit to both sides of the House, and most importantly, ensuring that the House as a whole contributes creditably well to the development of the nation. As I speak to you, the opening session has just ended, and so the members who are in attendance are descending from the conference hall, after which we'll go back for the breakout sessions.
Right, Faisal Abdul Idrisu is our Volta regional correspondent and will definitely be connecting with you subsequently to know in the coming days if the minority camp would like to join or not. Thank you so much for the details. Now we move to air pollution. The Member of Parliament for Ebuaka South constituency, Dr. Kingsley Ajiman, has expressed deep concern over the increasing cases of upper respiratory conditions in his constituency. He attributes this rise to severe air pollution caused by deteriorating state of roads in parts of the constituency. He raised the concern in Parliament as he filed an urgent question to the Member of Roads regarding the matter. Minister for Roads, Kwame Gavin-Agboja, provided some answers.
As you may be aware, multi-mobility index in Ghana has increased very tremendously. And one of the key factors has to do with upper respiratory disorders. I'm seeking your kind attention that because this has to do with bitumen resurfacing, it means that the top surface of the road has been scratched and there's a lot of dust in the area. I crave your indulgence that please keep a very good eye on these roads for the people of Ebuaka South.
The breakdown of this debt is as follows. Consolidated fund projects, 15,339,887,294 cedis and 92 pesos. Ghana Road Fund projects, 5,662,772,975 cedis and 60 pesos. These pending debts cover payment certificate from 2018 to 2024. It is worth noting that these debts do not include interest accrued to delayed payment. And Mr. Speaker, on record, the interest on delayed payment can go as high as 50% or even 100% on some of the projects. As and when government gets more resources, we'll retire this debt and also continue to do what is required by adding on more projects. But Mr. Speaker, it is also clear that part of the reason for this unsustainable cost is the uncontrolled way of contracting. There's something wrong with the way we contract. This debt is not sustainable. We need to do something as a house as to how we contract. So it is not about blaming any government.
You're still watching Weekend Central live here on TV3, also on DSTV channel 279. We're going for a break. We'll be back shortly with more compelling stories. Stay with us.
This is Hot Issues, your passport to the most compelling conversations. We go one-on-one with the movers and shakers, the thought leaders, and
Welcome back to Weekend Central Live here on TV3. I'm Godwin Asediba. We continue with more stories. Shocking footage from the Techiman slaughterhouse has sparked public health concerns over poor food sanitation, really worrying. The image showed conditions that raise serious questions about the hygiene of meat production in the region. Belinda Tete reports from the Bono East region. Take a look.
In the heart of Techiman, where livestock turns into food, a growing concern is casting shadow over meat production.
I am here at a slaughterhouse in Techiman, the Bono East regional capital, and as you can see right behind me is a heap of fecal matter, animal excrete, that is screaming to swallow the slaughterhouse if not being worked on. But speaking to the veterinary officer or the health aspect, he tells me that this does not affect the quality of meat being produced inside the slaughterhouse, as the inside of the slaughterhouse is neat enough and has no chances of endangering the meat being produced.
Actually, looking at the general environment, it's not all that okay, but we have some little big challenges. For it affecting the meat product, I don't think so, because we do everything inside, but not the outside, not outside. And the inside there is always clean. We do clean as you go before we dress the animal. And then after which, the workers inside will flash water on the floor before they bring the animal or the carcass to be dissected into two. I think it is enough because inside there is always clean, and that is where meat have been kept always.
Also, the chairman of the Slaughterhouse Association tells me that as the Bono East regional capital, they need an upgrade from a slaughterhouse to an abattoir.
We appeal to the government to say, new abattoir. We need new abattoir to cater of the meats we are going to give people to eat, so that we need government help to come and help us to build new abattoir for us, so that we contain still asset national Kumasi abattoir. If you get that one, you Techiman, you help us.
Meanwhile, medical professionals warn of dire health risk. The head of internal medicine at the Holy Family Hospital, Dr. Felix Enieje, cautioned that contaminated meats could trigger severe illnesses, especially among vulnerable groups.
Sanitation has a direct effect on food and health, for that matter. So there are several conditions that one can acquire from eating food that is contaminated as a result of living in an environment that is not very clean. I mean, you can talk about typhoid, you can talk about cholera, you can talk about different forms of dysentery, even some forms of hepatitis, A and E, are all conditions you can acquire from having food contaminated, and this would definitely be as a result of your environment not being too clean. And it is not just about having direct contact with the environment. Sometimes you can have flies getting into contact with these dirty environments and then landing on your food. So as far as meat safety is concerned, this is also very important, because for meat safety, it actually starts directly from even before the animal is killed, the cleanliness of the abattoir. If at the time of killing of the animal, some sanitary conditions, basic sanitary conditions were not met, you could also carry on some conditions that must have ensued, in the course of the preparation of the animal. As in from the killing all the way to when the animal gets to the market. You can have bacteria settling on the meat because of the way it is stored, and all these conditions can be transferred to whoever consumes the meat.
As you rush to the market to buy your meat to prepare your meal, Have you ever taken a minute to ask yourself how hygienic is the place where your meat is prepared? Belinda Tete, TV3 News, Bono East Region, Techiman.
We move to other stories. The government has announced its intention to operationalize the Commander Sugar Factory as soon as possible. Once the factory resumes operations, it is expected to run 24 hours a day with the goal of creating jobs for local residents. Correspondent Asediba has filed this report.
Minister for Agribusiness, Trade and Industry, Elizabeth Ofosu-Ejare, paid a visit to the Commander Sugar Factory to acquire first-hand information on the state of affairs at the factory. After touring the factory, the minister announced that government has a special interest in ensuring that the factory resumes its sugar production from locally grown sugarcane. Even though no specific timeline was given by the minister, she announced that the factory will soon be operational. She announced also that government intends to expand the capacity of the factory and also bring on board strategic investors, especially in the growing of sugarcane, to feed the factory.
The regional minister, the MP Nananom, and my good self will work together on the instructions of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama to revamp Commander Sugar Factory. We hope to extend the capacity once we start work. The plans for this factory is huge, and I'm sure that very soon we will see signs of work at this place. I'm grateful to the regional minister, Nananom, the MP, and all the people here for the support they've given me since I was appointed as Minister for Trade in my bid to carry on the instructions of His Excellency to make sure that this factory works so that our young people will find job and then we'll have advantage of the full value chain. Look at it, the agribusiness side of agriculture. So the plantation will happen, young people provide machinery, transportation, some will buy and supply the factory. It is going to be huge, it's going to be great. And so I'm excited at the prospect, and I'm sure Excellency John Dramani Mahama will be proud of himself very soon because of how this factory will work.
The Central Regional Minister, Eko Penying, promised to have the concerns of sugarcane farmers properly addressed as government plans to revitalize the factory. He said a special variety of sugarcane, which is high yielding, will be provided for farmers to grow.
A major concern of farmers is that they have not been properly integrated in discussions regarding this factory. Are we having new plans for our local farmers?
Yeah, we've given them some education that once they have the land, they'll be given the right, variety of sugar for the factory. And so while we do that, we'll be educating them to be part of the factory. We cannot take them out of the processing activities. Yeah.
For TV3 News, I am Asediba, Commander.
Ghana's petroleum sector has experienced significant growth, particularly since the discovery of oil in commercial quantities in 2007 through oil production. Though oil production, began the last quarter of 2010, however, despite the revenue growth, oil production has been declining, spanning from 66 million barrels in 2020 to 48 million barrels in 2023. At a public lecture at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, organized by the College of Engineering, petroleum experts explained that the country has acquired more value from its petroleum resources beyond the fiscal elements.
Discipline to adhere to the policies, legislation, guidelines, etc. is key. And that is one area that you can lose a lot of value. I have argued in the upstream chamber, where I'm the vice chairman, that there is nothing wrong with a fiscal regime in Ghana. What the industry wants is the predictability of the regulatory regime. The investment profile for oil and gas is very long. If somebody is going to invest for 30 years, he wants to be able to go away for 10 years, and by the time he comes, nothing has changed. If you pass 2, 3, 4 legislation in 1 year, you are telling an oil and gas investor that I don't need you. So it is very, very important, and it is the issue of predictability of the regulatory regime. The quality of the decisions and the management of the operations is very, very important for the nation to derive the value that it requires. the revenue we may get from fiscal, if you put the greater impact, and then all the optimizations along the value chain, time has proved that you can get more values from these value creation and value chain optimization than fiscal incentive.
Beyond the conventional focus on taxation, royalties, and revenue sharing models, it is imperative to explore value addition, local content development, technological advancements, environmental sustainability, and long-term economic diversification. Maximizing the benefits of petroleum resources demands strategic investments in research, human capital, and innovation to ensure that we not only extract value, but also sustain it for future generations.
The story is of much concern to the Muslim communities. Government announced a reduction in the Hajj pilgrimage fee from 75,000 Ghana cedis under the previous administration to 62,000 Ghana cedis. The move fulfills President John Dramani Mahama's campaign promises to lower the cost of the pilgrimage, making it more accessible to the Ghanaian Muslims. Though the Muslim community would have wished for further reduction, the National Hilal Committee has lauded the step.
I think 12,000 is a very huge amount. Reduction of 12,000, inshallah, is going to encourage most of our programs to go through Hajj board to perform their Hajj. Even though previously we were expecting more than this, but this is what President can offer for us, so that inshallah we appreciate it. It's going to change, inshallah. There's going to be improvement for those who want to perform Hajj 2025 this year, inshallah.
Well, President John Dramani Mahama being a man of his words there. But you're still watching Weekend Central live here on TV3 with me, Godwin Asediba. We are going for another break. Make sure you do stay with us.
This is the show that brings finality to all the critical issues. It is the stage where all the facts are checked, issues thoroughly interrogated, opinions shaped, and debates settled.
Welcome back. The Special Prosecutor Kissi Ejabeng maintains his office represents Ghana's best chance in dealing with corruption. This as despite recent criticisms leveled against the anti-graft agency. He's been speaking at a public lecture organized by the One Ghana movement.
Despite efforts over the years, including measures such as legal frameworks and the establishment of anti-corruption institutions, the canker of corruption still deeply affects the country's resources. Political interference often takes center stage in the fight against this issue. For this reason, Special Prosecutor Kissi Ejabeng is calling for the OSP's powers to be enshrined in Ghana's constitution.
We must write the office of the Special Prosecutor into the Constitution and board it up firmly. The OSP is being increasingly equated to me. It is as if I'm the office, and the office is me. The focus should be on building institutions that stand the test of time. The OSP represents our best bet in fighting corruption. Its present attributes, mandate, powers, and reach afford it a pole position as the foremost and focal institution in tackling the problem. Its independence must be fully assured, and its powers and mandate should be enlarged and enhanced.
Executive Director of the Ghana Center for Democratic Development, CDD Ghana, Professor H. Kwesi Prempeh, decried the insecurity surrounding the fight against corruption.
Corruption has become a low-risk enterprise. When the fight itself is high risk, but the behavior you are fighting is low risk, you are certainly going to produce more of the bad behavior you want to fight and very little of the high-risk behavior. There's no way you can fight corruption when the cost of fighting it is greater to the person fighting it, to the institutions fighting it, than the corrupt conduct itself.
Minority Leader Alexander Kwame Appenyo-Markin urged Ghanaians to take strong action against anyone involved in corruption.
I therefore encourage discussions by civil society all aimed at cracking the whip on the political class. I'm one politician who is of the view that if you leave us loose with power, we may leave the room with empty coffers. So if somebody knows that on the radio, somebody will be talking about his lifestyle, when he gets into office, he'll be careful.
The Constitution Day lecture was held under the theme, A Few Good Men, Suppressing and Repressing Corruption and State Capture in Aid of Development.
The Ghana National Association of Private Schools, NAP, says some of its members are folding up owing to the high cost of operations and what they describe as discrimination. Speaking at this year's NAPS Week celebration at Afrancho in the Efija Kwabre South municipality, the association claims unfair treatment to its which is leading to the stifling of the growth of private schools. The group is expecting government to fulfill its promise of providing equal opportunities for both the public and private schools. That's more in this report.
Placement system. We want the government to scrap it off. 2 is the WAEC, the amount of money they are collecting. We want them to do something about it. Because every year it's just like increasing. Last year, 2024, it was 214. This year, as we speak, 283. So it is something that is worrying us. Today, we are talking about this, we be included in the free SHS placement. If the government could do that for us, we'll be very happy. For Nasia too, the money they are taking from us is becoming too much. Every year, 800 cities. It is not easy. Even we those in the urban areas, let's take it as somehow better. What about those in the rural areas? It is not easy. Private schools are collapsing. So we are praying that it was part of JM's, the NDC manifesto. So we are hoping that now that it was told last year that it will be scrapped, this year the 30%, we are hoping and praying that it will surely go. And then this thing will help private schools to also grow.
Government is being urged to develop a national plan to raise awareness and deal with rare diseases. The call was made at the launch of the 2025 Rare Disease Day.
Approximately 7,000 rare diseases impact over 300 million people globally. In Ghana, countless families are facing the distinct challenges these conditions present. The Executive Director of the Rare Disease Ghana Initiative, Samuel Ejewiafe, provided further insights into the situation.
Because these diseases are a group of diseases that are seen as more like unimportant because of the number of people that are they individually affect. They don't affect a lot of people, so there isn't much attention given to this condition. Mostly those who suffer it through silence and isolation, and they are usually neglected within our healthcare system as well as within our society.
Gabriel Intokwao was not born with his condition. He was diagnosed with sclerosis at just 2 years old. He shares that the stigma surrounding this disease has been overwhelming.
I have scoliosis, a condition that started at age 2. I wasn't born with it, but I have really gone through a lot in the area of stigmatization. So we, at this function, are advocating for a better care of patients with a condition. Most often, stigma rather add more burden on the patients and their families. So it's about time that society despairs fear and stigma surrounding conditions such like this.
The Executive Director for Rare Disease Ghana Initiative called on the Ministry of Health to establish a national plan focused on effective policy direction.
When you have known what is wrong with you, treatment is usually limited. There isn't available treatment for many rare diseases. This national plan, we are asking that we need the centers of care. We need some infrastructure to diagnose. We need to be able to do some surveillance, know which diseases are here and be able to monitor the conditions. We need to be able to bring a supportive patient community and be able to involve them in the planning of interventions.
Rare Disease Day serves as a significant reminder of the resilience and hope present within our community. By amplifying these stories and enhancing policy direction, we can cultivate a more inclusive society and empower individuals to thrive. Safa Boyne, TV3 News, Accra.
A very important topic we should definitely pay some attention to, but we're about to bring an end to the bulletin as March 1, 2025, a Ghana month where you should see Ghana, wear Ghana and eat Ghana as well. And also you should know that on the 3rd of March, the grand launch of Media General Ghana Village will be happening here at the TV3 premises. So do make time to come if you can. My name is Godwin Asediba. Many thanks for making me a part of your time, and we'll definitely see you soon again. But enjoy the rest of our programming. Bye-bye.